Across the vast expanse of time, mythologies have forged the world. From the depths of chaos to the flames of distant realms, every culture has woven tales of gods, heroes, and celestial wonders. Welcome to Myth to Myth, your mythological portal. Subscribe for more epic journeys. Visit mythtomyth.com and discover all our products. When the earth remembers her wounds, the sky must tremble. The underworld has fallen silent. Far beneath the throne of Hades, where the last tremor of the Titanomachy faded into stone, something forgotten turns in the dark. The gates of Tartaros remain sealed. The Hecatonchires stand at their posts, and yet the deep earth shivers, as if an old promise were waking. Above, the world that Zeus has ordered into law still gleams with new Olympian light. The fires of Hestia burn in unbroken circles, mortals raise altars to the Thunderer, and the memory of the Titan's fall lingers only as distant storm in the minds of gods. But in the hidden caverns of the cosmos, another memory coils, the grief of Gaia, mother of all, whose children were hurled screaming into the abyss. She has watched the reign of Zeus unfold. She has heard oaths sworn upon sticks, seen mortals shaped from clay, felt the roots of the olive tree take hold. Yet each heartbeat of the world presses against the bars of Tartaros like a bruise. The earth remembers the chains on the Titans, the blood-born giants still waiting for their hour, and the silence she herself chose. Tonight that silence ends. A low primeval music rises from the depths, a single drum like a heartbeat in the stone, a distant horn bending upward, a chorus of grinding rock and whispered thunder swelling for the span of a single held breath, a pulse that lingers too long. The cosmos leans toward the sound, unsure if it hears a birth cry or a funeral. For in the black gulf where Gaia meets the chasm of Tartaros, a new shape begins to gather, a storm with hands, a mountain that breathes, her last terrible answer to the rule of Zeus. Darkness hums with distant stars. Out of that breathing night, a voice begins to tell a story. Some will say it was simple. A single bolt, a single scream, a monster crushed beneath a mountain. For a moment, the tale takes that shape in the dark, like figures painted on a black figure vase. Zeus stands alone with his thunderbolt. A vague serpent shadow falls. Mount Etna smolders in the distance. Then the image fractures like old clay, and the shards drift away into nothing. Another voice joins the first, and then a third, woven like harmonies over a lyre. They speak of older songs. Hesiod sang of fire and roaring winds, of a creature whose hands could reach the stars. Others whispered of flight and fear, of gods who fled in the shapes of beasts, of a night when even Olympus trembled, and the new order of Zeus shook like a fresh-built tower in an earthquake. Think of it this way, one of the unseen singers murmurs. There are shorter songs and there are deeper ones. The cosmos seems to lean in. Tonight we remember the long night, the night when the earth answered the fall of the Titans with something worse. Our scroll of memory unfurls in the dark. On it we glimpse Cronus devouring his children, Zeus overthrowing him, the Titans hurled into Tartaros, the great mother turning away in grief. Each image flares and fades like embers. The voices grow softer, almost tender. Memory is not clean, memory is not merciful. Memory keeps what others cut away. And buried within the memory of victory lies another story, one that begins not with thunder, but with a silence beneath the world. The darkness tilts and the listener falls, down through stone and shadow. Stone closes around us in layers, colder and colder, until the air tastes of iron and old oaths. The underworld opens like a hollow world inside the world, its ceiling lost in darkness, its floor cut by 5 rivers that murmur in their ancient courses, Acheron slow and heavy, Cocytus weeping, Phlegethon afire, Lethe pale and forgetful, Styx black as broken night. Before the bronze-bound gates of Tartaros stands Hades. He does not pace, he does not speak. He simply stands, a dark figure crowned with shadow, watching the door that must never open. Behind him loom the Hecatonchires, the 100-handed ones who once hurled mountains in the Titanomachy. Now their 100 hands rest on spears, on chains, on the iron that binds the pit. Above, perched on basalt pillars, the Erinyes crouch like carved obsidian, their eyes barely glinting. Nothing moves. The only sound is the slow drip of mineral water and the distant, muffled roar of what is already imprisoned. The Titans far below, not as individual shapes, but as a single drowned thunder, a sea of rage sealed away. A faint shiver runs through the ground, subtle as a breath. Cerberus lifts one head, then another, then the third, and a low growl rises in his 3 throats. The bronze doors hum for a heartbeat, as if something on the far side shifted its weight. The 100-handed tighten their grips. Chains rattle once and fall still. Hades does not turn his head. In the silence, his resolve is a wall. He has sworn by the Styx. No new door will be opened. No new horror will climb through the breach guarded by the dead. Whatever stirs below the threshold will stay where it is. The tremor fades. The underworld returns to its patient dark. But far above, in the living body of the earth, another silence begins to crack. Deep beneath the skin of the world, beyond the reach of Hades' rivers, the stone feels different. It breathes. It drinks light from roots and molten seams. Here the cavern walls are ribs of a vast sleeping creature, and the trickle of underground streams sounds like blood moving through veins. In the heart of this living darkness, Gaia takes shape. She is not a woman, and yet she wears that outline. Shoulders of mountain and hillside, hair of tangled roots and rivers, eyes like deep wells with stars trapped far inside. When mortals walk, she feels their footfalls. When gods crash and clash, she absorbs the shock. She has not forgotten. In the surfaces around her flicker memories she cannot escape. Uranos, the starry sky, bent low and bound. Cronus, her son, lifting the adamantine sickle she gave him. Blood raining into the sea, birthing furies and giants and foam-born Aphrodite. Later, the same son devouring his own children. Then Zeus, youngest, raised in secret, returning with thunder to rip open the father's belly. She sees the Titans chained and toppled into Tartaros, their cries echoing along her buried bones. She feels the 300-handed slamming the doors shut above them. She feels the constant weight of their resentment, like lead beneath her skin. She sees Prometheus bound to his rock in the Caucasus, the eagle tearing his liver again and again, and every drop of Titan blood that falls seeps into her stone like a slow red complaint. She hears the prayers of the first mortals, crude and earnest, and then their wars, bronze against bronze, brother against brother, forest burned, altars stained with wasteful slaughter. I gave them clay and grain, she thinks. He gave them fire. The oath of Zeus rings faintly. No more devourers, no more tyrants like Cronus. Noble words laid like marble over an old fracture. The fracture widens. A low groan rises from her depths, the sound of buried lands grinding against one another. Her vast form stirs. If Zeus has built his palace on the sky and sealed her children beneath her feet, then there is still one direction left in which she can act. Down. Gaia sinks, not in space, but in awareness, sliding her will along the deep grain of rock. The world around her narrows into a throat of basalt and obsidian. Heat seeps through the walls. Hairline fissures glow dull orange, like old embers breathed back toward life. There are places beneath the earth that are not the domain of Hades. Older scars, older mouths. She reaches one now. Arima is less a cavern than a wound. The stone here is twisted, as if some enormous thing once clawed at it from within. Sulfur stings the air. Fumes curl up from black cracks that seem to lead nowhere and everywhere at once. No souls wander here, no judges sit, no river carves the floor. This is the outer bruise of Tartaros, where stone remembers the first wound of the deep. Gaia's presence condenses, more solid in this pressure. The weight of all she has suffered, all she has borne in silence, gathers around her like a mantle of mountain. Here, she feels, their chains bite deepest. Here their anger seeps closest to my heart. Far below, muffled but powerful, The Titans roar as a single distant storm. Hades' gates still bind them, but their hatred, their longing, their thwarted might radiate upward through the stone. It is a poison and a promise. If she cannot open the door, she can still touch the threshold. Her fingers sink into the wall. Under the surface crust, the stone is hot and resistant. She pushes anyway, old strength meeting older resistance, until something gives, not with a crack, but with a sickening, silent yield. Behind the rock is not emptiness, but the compressed idea of below itself, the raw, undiluted presence of Tartaros. The contact is a shock. The essence of Tartaros presses against Gaia's hands like a black ocean held behind glass. It is not a place, but a condition, the concept of endless fall, the knowledge that there is no bottom to certain kinds of punishment. Within it float the dim, furious thoughts of the imprisoned Titans, their shapes reduced to pressure and heat. She pulls that essence toward her. Darkness bleeds through the rock, thick and slow, coiling around her wrists like ink in water. It is colder than any winter, hotter than any lava, heavy as despair and sharp as betrayal. For a moment, even Gaia wavers. It is one thing to be the earth, to absorb blood and ash and seed. It is another to drink pure abyss. But she has already watched her children bound. She has already felt the eagle's claws scrape Prometheus's rock. She grits her stone teeth and draws the abyss into herself. You swallowed my sons, she thinks toward the void. Now swallow this pact as well. Her vast body convulses. Mountain ranges rise and fall across her shoulders in an instant. Forests wither and regrow, seasons flashing past in the span of a breath. Rivers run backward. The line between fertility and destruction blurs. In the center of her being, the borrowed darkness begins to coil. It gathers into a single molten knot, dense and bright and terrible. It is not a titan. It is not a giant. It is something new. Earth's rage given form, prison's hatred given limbs. A heartbeat echoes through Arima, deep and slow. The walls sweat molten stone. Dust rains from the ceiling in thin veils. The knot beats again, louder. With each thud, the surrounding rock bulges as if pregnant. From above, faintly, one of the remembering voices murmurs around the scene. There are children born of sky and sea, of night and darkness. This one is born of wound and revenge. The molten womb of Typhon is quickening. High on a jag of rock, where the boiling light only half reaches, three veiled forms stand together. They are not made of stone or fire, but of something quieter and more inexorable. Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos watch in silence. The youngest holds a spindle. The thread that flows from it is pale and faintly luminous, the raw stuff of lives yet unlived. The middle sister measures a length of that thread between her fingers, thoughtful. The eldest lets heavy shears glint in her hand, not yet closing them on anything. Below, Gaia writhes as the womb of Typhon tightens inside her. The cavern shudders. Veins of molten stone burst and spill. The air smells of metal and thunder. The thread thickens, Clotho observes, feeling something new tug against the spindle. Not titan, not giant, Lachesis replies, a knot in the weave, a place where many lines will tangle. At such knots, Atropos says softly, no clean cut satisfies. Their eyes follow the swelling of the molten womb. They see echoes radiating outward from it, battles not yet fought, islands not yet shattered, mountains not yet raised over broken bodies. In some of those futures, the sky lies in fragments. In others, a new order stands on firmer ground. Shall we warn the Thunderer? Clotho asks. He was warned once, Atropos answers, thinking of Metis swallowed on the council of fear of Athena born armed from a split skull. He chose how to hear it. The three sisters share an expression that is not quite pity and not quite disdain. Their law is older than Zeus's throne. Their measure reaches deeper than the quarrels of Titans and Olympians. They do not move to stop what is happening. Fate in this moment is witness, not guard. The molten womb throbs again. The echo reaches their feet. They step back into the shadow, their forms dissolving into darkness. Only the faint gleam of spindle, measure, and shears remains for a heartbeat, like 3 small stars in a cavern full of fire. Then even those lights go out. Far above Arima, the surface of the earth wears the calm of an ordinary day. The world's earliest shepherds guided their flocks along rocky slopes. Farmers lean on rough wooden tools. Children chase each other between olive trees, their laughter thin in the bright air. The first sign is almost nothing. On a quiet slope, a young shepherd stops mid-sentence. He has felt something under his bare feet, a tiny jolt like a heartbeat in the soil. He looks down, just as a hairline fracture snakes between his toes, a dark line etching itself into dusty ground. He calls out, half laughing, but the laugh dies when the crack widens enough to swallow a pebble. The world itself seems to pull back and watch. That same line continues across the hillside, then another crossing it, and another. Fields buckle as thin fissures scribble their way through furrows. In a small village, a clay jug rattles off a table. A woman clutches a doorway as the wall groans. In Delos, the sacred island that once floated, the laurel trees shiver without wind. In rocky Attica, on a height where a great city will one day rise, a stone block slides a finger's breadth out of place. In far-off lands, temples and huts alike feel a brief, unsettling shudder. The soil dries, then burns. Demeter senses somewhere between root and harvest. What stirs in you, mother? Gaia does not answer with words. Her answer is pressure and groaning stone. Buried seams grind against one another. Fire beneath the earth is pulled toward Arima as if answering a summons. In the distance, a small fire mountain coughs ash into the sky, surprising the villagers at its base. The cracks do not yet destroy, they warn. From beneath, the heartbeat of the forming monster pushes upward. The earth's skin, stretched and scarred, bears the sign. Something is turning in the dark that will not remain hidden. Back in Arima, the heat is almost unbearable. The molten womb swells, the rock around it bulging like a stone casing about to burst. Every breath is sulfur and ash. The air ripples with the pressure of something immense straining against confinement. Then comes the sound. It is not a roar at first. It is a single raw exhalation pushed through a throat that does not yet exist. A broken vowel sounding directly in the stone. The cavern walls vibrate, trying to shape that breath into meaning and failing. The sound comes again, layered and growing. The hiss of 1,000 serpents threads through it. The howl of wild winds rides on top. Beneath them, slower and heavier, grind the sounds of winter mountains and collapsing cliffs. Lightning cracks inside the noise without light, followed by the far, dull boom of ocean waves smashing themselves to foam. All of this, forcing its way out of a single forming consciousness. The effect is wrong. Even Gaia flinches despite having called this being into existence. Her vast shoulders hunch, fractures open along her arms. She has heard titans curse and giants mutter in their unborn sleep, but this is different. This is earth and abyss speaking together with one mouth. "Rise," she whispers through gritted stone. "Rise, my last storm." The sound answers her, not with language but with an eerie attempt at it, imitating her cadence, twisting it into something harsher. The pitch climbs until stalactites shatter and plunge into the molten pool, hissing. On the surface, animals panic. Horses rear and scream, whites of their eyes bright. Dogs bark frantically at nothing visible. Birds break their patterns, swirling into chaotic swarms before scattering in all directions. Humans clap hands over their ears, hearts thudding without understanding why. In the underworld, Hades feels the vibration in the bones of his realm. Chains hum on the gates. Cerberus snarls, all 3 heads staring toward the unseen source. The voice in Arima rises to a crescendo. The stone casing cannot hold it much longer. The moment of breaking comes like the snapping of a world's spine. The stone womb tears open along jagged seams. Fire blasts out in a ring, melting rock and carving new vents toward the surface. From the heart of that explosion, the shape inside forces its way into the open. First, the serpents. From what would be a waist for a smaller creature, coils of scaled muscle unravel, each thick as a river, black and slick as oil, patterned with molten lines that pulse like veins of lava. Each coil ends in a head, fanged and hungry, eyes burning with a fragment of the greater will inside. They anchor themselves around pillars of stone, crushing and grinding them into gravel as the rest of the body hauls itself up. Then the torso emerges, vast and roughly man-shaped, though the proportions are grotesque. A ribcage like a fortress wall heaves, ribs of obsidian glowing red between the cracks. The skin is not skin, but living rock veined with fire, shifting and cracking as it moves. From the shoulders rise two colossal arms, vast enough to threaten east and west. Around them and above them, the 100 dragon heads writhe from his monstrous frame, some snapping like hands, some lengthening into serpent necks, all moving with one terrible will. Across his back, vast wing shadows unfurl, not like the wings of a bird, but like storm clouds given bone. Above all this chaos, the central head lifts. It is draconic, and yet something more, crowned with horns of jagged basalt, mane a streaming flame. Its eyes are twin craters, lit from within by chthonic fire. Around it, ringed like a grotesque halo, sprout 100 lesser dragon heads, each spitting sparks and smoke, each hissing part of a terrible, many-voiced laughter. Hesiod's description comes alive in the monstrous form. Hands that could touch the stars if the cavern allowed it, feet hidden in the mass of serpents, dug deep into the earth, 100 flaming mouths. Typhon inhales for the first time. The breath draws in smoke, dust, the whisper of Gaia's rage, the faint fear of mortals above. When he exhales, a column of fire roars upward, punching a new shaft toward the surface. All Arima shakes as if the world itself has been forced to shift around him. Even Gaia steps back, dwarfed by her own creation. For an instant, awe and something like dread pass through her core. "My son," she breathes, and the word is both blessing and curse. Typhon turns a cluster of eyes toward her. Recognition gleams there, but also impatience and a wild, testing cruelty that belongs to no one but himself. In his stare is the question every child asks of the world that bore it: how much can I break? He lifts one colossal arm. The upward motion alone sends a tremor through mountain, sea, and sky. Typhon moves. What had been contained inside Arima now pours outward, a living storm forcing its way through stone. Each movement of his colossal body grinds caverns into corridors, corridors into chasms. The serpents of his lower form spear through rock and soil, surfacing like black rivers suddenly turned vertical, then plunging back down with shattering force. On the surface, hills buckle under invisible weight. A shepherd watches a distant ridge rear up, as if something beneath it was stretching, and then the entire slope collapses in a roar of dust. Lakes slosh violently against their shores. In far-off lands, wells spit up mud and blood-brown water. With each step Typhon takes, the air warps. Clouds gather where there were none, not with gentle spiral, but with ragged, clawed edges. Lightning flickers inside them, an unfamiliar, sickly color like bruised metal. The sun dims behind a veil that is not quite cloud and not quite smoke. The sea feels him too. Waves begin to roll in confused patterns, crashing against coasts at the wrong angles, tearing boats from their moorings even in harbors that thought themselves safe. Fish throw themselves toward deeper darkness, fleeing a pressure they cannot see. Birds lose their paths. Migrating flocks twist into spirals and break apart. Eagles cry out and dive, only to be flung sideways by gusts that do not match any remembered wind. The very sense of east and west, above and below, begins to falter, as if the order of things were a curtain caught in a sudden, violent draft. Typhon lifts his blazing head and roars. The sound travels farther than any mortal scream, rattling the teeth of kings and beggars alike. For the first time since Zeus cast down Cronus, the world feels the unmistakable presence of something that might unmake it. High above clouds, the palace of Zeus crowns the world, its columns carved from light and storm. For a while after the Titanomachy, it has stood like a symbol of certainty. Thrones in ordered circles, fires burning without threat, the laughter of a new pantheon learning its power. Now a shudder runs through the mountain. In the central hall, the sacred fire on Hestia's hearth flickers. It has never done that before. The flame pulls sideways for a heartbeat, drawn toward a point beyond the wall, then rights itself, but less steadily. Hestia, who almost never speaks, straightens, quiet eyes narrowing. Around the hall, the thrones of the gods answer in their own ways. The empty seat once meant for Hestia, veiled in vines of light that now belong to Dionysus, rustles. The vines tremble, as if in a sudden unseen wind, their leaves turning silver-grey on the underside. Dionysus pauses mid-step, a cup half raised, as the wine inside ripples without touch. The surface shows for a second, not grapes and feasts, but a distorted reflection of something serpentine and vast. He sets the cup down slowly, listening. Athena feels it as pressure behind her eyes, a crack in the order she had already traced within Zeus's reign. Her spear, resting beside her throne, vibrates softly as if remembering older wars. In the distance, she hears an echo of the first time she emerged from her father's skull, sword in hand, ready to defend a world not yet fully made. Hera grips the armrests of her seat. For her, the tremor comes not as fear, but as recognition. The taste of Gaia's anger is familiar to her. She has wielded a fraction of it many times in jealous wrath against Zeus's lovers and children. This, however, is not a fraction. This is the source. She turns toward the open colonnade. Beyond the edge of the terrace, clouds are gathering in chaotic spirals. A shape moves beneath them, too large to be truly seen, like a mountain walking upright. The music of Olympus, the soft murmur of court's distant lyres, the quiet ringing of Hephaestus' forges, falters. A note of dissonance creeps in, like a sour string in an otherwise perfect chord. Something is coming, Hera thinks, and the word something is the smallest she can find for the largest thing she has ever felt. Zeus stands at the edge of his palace, cloak snapping in the strange wind, eyes narrowed at the churning horizon. The air tastes familiar to him, charged cloud, the prelude to storm, but beneath that he senses a strange undertow of storm, one that does not answer his will. He summons the Cyclopes with a thought, and the memory of their forge flares to life around him. Deep inside the mountain, Arges, Brontes, and Steropes stoke their furnaces. Sparks leap as they hammer metal no mortal tongue has ever named. The dread thunderbolts they forged for him during the Titanomachy lie ready, weapons that do not simply burn, but impose order through annihilation. They appear in Zeus's hands as streaks of burning white and gold, the raw power of the sky condensed into graspable form. Lightning crawls over his forearms, wraps his shoulders like a living mantle. Each breath he takes sends a low rumble rolling across the dome of the world. Beside the thunderbolts, he takes up the adamantine sickle, the old curved blade by which Cronus once severed Uranos from Gaia and opened the age of the Titans. Beside him, Athena steps forward, armor already clasped, aegis shimmering with Gorgon's glare. Her voice is level, but the stakes it outlines are not. "This is not another Titan, Father," she says quietly. "It is something drawn from Mother Earth and the pit below. You cannot treat it as you treated Cronus. Do not strike blind. Force it away from the heart of the world. Use the mountain and the sea." Her mind has already arranged possibilities like signs drawn in sacred dust. Draw the clash high above, spare the fields below, and force the monster towards stone and sea, a final trap where stone and water can bury the creature if it falls. Hera comes to stand on Zeus's other side. She does not offer a plan of battle, she offers perspective. Her gaze is fixed on the roiling mass far below. "This is Gaia's answer to you," she says. "To the chains on her sons, to the blood spilled on her skin. Whatever you think of your justice, know that you face her grief as well as her rage." Zeus's jaw tightens, For an instant, he sees his mother Rhea, the fear in her eyes as she hid him. He sees Gaia's ancient, impassive face when she watched him overthrow Cronus. There have always been debts outstanding. He lifts the thunderbolts anyway. The sky is mine to guard, he thinks. If Earth herself challenges that, then Earth must feel the weight of lightning. He steps off the terrace, not falling, but striding into the air. Storm clouds gather around him like war horses, answering a familiar rider. The first drops of a new, unnatural rain begin to fall. Zeus and Typhon see each other for the first time in the open. The clash that follows does not end quickly. The sun drags itself across the sky and sinks, rises again and sinks once more, until days blur into a single, unending storm. It happens over a range of nameless mountains, their peaks already splitting under the strain of the monster's passage. Typhon's towering form rises out of shattered ridges, a dark mass of writhing serpents and grinding stone. His many eyes blaze, scanning the sky, daring it to resist him. The sky answers. Zeus descends wreathed in storm, thunderbolts burning in his hands. Around him, clouds coalesce into a throne of black and silver, lightning veins pulsing. The air between god and monster hums with opposed powers, the storm tension of an impending strike. For a moment, the world holds its breath. Then they collide. Zeus hurls a thunderbolt. It spears through the air with a scream of torn air, slamming into Typhon's chest. Fire blossoms, white-hot, blasting rock, and scale away in a spray of molten debris. Typhon staggers, but only for a heartbeat. The wound smokes, then closes, rock knitting over molten stone. In answer, he opens one of his 100 mouths and vomits a pillar of flame and ash skyward. It hits Zeus's storm throne like a mountain bursting open, blowing holes in the clouds, showering sparks. Thunder roars, not as one sound but as many overlapping crashes. Lightning lances down again and again, searing trenches into Typhon's body. Each strike would have leveled a city. Here they are spent just to force him back a step. Typhon laughs, a multi-throated, jagged sound that rattles distant winter valleys beyond the horizon. He sweeps one colossal arm up. The blow catches Zeus's storm mass and throws him sideways through the heavens, tearing a streak of light across the sky that mortals will later remember as a burning omen across the night. The clash continues, not in a single blow but in a flurry of exchanges. Thunderbolts like falling stars, jets of fire that punch through cloud, snapping serpents lashing at stray lightning, mountaintops ripped free and hurled as weapons. Each impact writes a new scar on the landscape. Below, mortals cower, hearing only booming and feeling only quakes, unable to see the full scale of the duel. Above, in the high, thin air where gods and monsters move, the balance wavers but does not yet tip. This is no quick victory. This is a struggle where even Zeus must fight to keep his footing in his own sky. Far below the battling forms, the sea writhes. Though the storm's heart is over land, waves of force roll outward. The upper air bears down upon the sea, hammering the ocean's skin. Calm blue swells twist into towering, chaotic waves that break in no coherent pattern. Harbors are suddenly empty where there should be water, then filled with walls of foam that smash ships against quays. In his palace beneath the waves, built of coral shell and pressure, Poseidon feels the insult at once. The sea is restless, his sea, but the source is not his trident. He rises from his throne, beard bristling like whitecaps in a storm. Tridents of light flicker behind his eyes as he looks upward through leagues of water, sensing the distortion above. He remembers the day he swore loyalty to Zeus before the black waters of Styx, the day they divided the cosmos into sky, sea, and underworld. The sky shakes, he thinks, but the sea is my charge. I will not let Earth's last-born horror tear it apart. With a gesture, he calls his chariot. It forms from currents and foam, drawn by hippocamps with manes of spray. As he ascends toward the surface, the waters around him begin to organize, drawn away from the raw chaos Typhon's presence has stirred. Wherever Typhon's influence churns the waves into madness, Poseidon pushes back. Walls of water rise, not as blind floods, but as deliberate sea ramparts, curving to turn the violence away from coasts and islands. The sea still roars, but now it roars under command. From his vantage just below the surface, Poseidon glimpses the distant shapes of Zeus and Typhon clashing against the sky. He feels the strain in his brother's lightning, the raw, unfocused violence of the monster. This is Gaia's quarrel with the sky, he acknowledges, but the sea is not hers to shatter. He slams the butt of his trident down. The impact sends a counterwave through the waters, a steadying rhythm that fights against Typhon's lawless surge. Ships still struggle, some still sink, but the total destruction that might have been is held at bay. For the first time since the new order began, the ocean god does not resent Zeus's kingship. In this moment, facing a threat that could drown continents, their interests are one. The promise made at the division of the kingdoms and reaffirmed since holds firm. Whatever storms shake the world, they will not sink it without a fight from the Lord of the Sea. While lightning and fire duel overhead and the sea bucks under opposing wills, the winds themselves twist into something unnatural. The battle has raged for days now, and the normal order of weather has begun to unravel under the strain. What was once predictable, the turn of the seasons, the familiar paths of storm and calm, now fractures into chaos. There are winds that sailors know by name, friendly or stern. The steady north that clears the sky, the soft west that brings rain to thirsty fields, the warm breath from the south that ripens fruit. Today, those winds lose their patterns. From the body of Typhon pour new gusts, born of him as breath and offspring both. They are not the clean, directional winds of Zeus's ordering. They are erratic, foul, charged with shards of ash and bitter sand. They swirl without warning, then lurch in sudden straight lines, ignoring mountain ranges and valley shapes that normally guide the air. Over one city, a hot, choking gale blasts for hours, blackening leaves on the trees and driving people indoors, eyes streaming. Over another distant town, a sudden icy squall rips roofs from houses and hurls them into the river without a cloud in sight. Somewhere else, wind roars through a narrow gorge so violently that boulders are lifted and flung down on the plains like thrown dice. Farmers look up from their fields, frightened not by rain or drought, both familiar, but by this new, unpredictable malice in the moving air. Sailors on the edge of the world watch as all their flags fly in different directions at once, ropes straining, canvas flapping without rhythm. In the high places where gods observe, this too does not go unnoticed. The orderly winds that Zeus once set over land and sea, each with its appointed task and temperament, recoil when Typhon's children gust through them. They try to hold their paths, their stable corridors, but the diseased gusts slide between them like a fever between ribs. Hesiod will later sing of these harmful winds, destroying crops, shaking oaks, ruining ships. Here the song reveals their birth directly from the monster's lungs. Each exhalation, a new twisted whirlwind sent out to unmake the familiar order of air, season, and storm. The sky's very breath is contaminated. It is harder to know where safety lies when even the wind has become a weapon. As the storm of Typhon spreads, the Olympian goddesses do not stand idle. Hera watches from the terrace of Olympus as the destructive winds lash cities and the unclean lightning scorches forests. For all her reputation as jealous and vengeful, she is also guardian of households, of marriages, of the fragile structure of mortal lives. She extends her hand, and threads of invisible protection spread from her fingers like a second, gentler pattern over the chaos. Around certain homes, those where vows have been kept, where altars are tended and hospitality honored, the worst gusts split and flow around instead of through. Roof beams hold where they should have snapped. A child clutching a doorway feels the wind snatch at her hair, but not at her body. On the roads, travelers who have offered proper sacrifices find themselves inexplicably spared as trees fall. A cart crushes under a toppled trunk, mere heartbeats, after the oxen have bolted clear, driven on by terror, but guided by a nudge of unseen will. Demeter, meanwhile, feels her realm torn open. Fields she coaxed from barren earth are being drowned, burned or scoured in equal measure. Young grain lies flattened in muddy hollows. Orchards shiver under pelting, malformed hail. She descends not in full glory, but as a towering presence at the edge of fields. Where Typhon's winds threaten to strip soil from hillsides, she presses down with gentle but immense weight, holding the earth in place. Where fire falls from the unnatural storm, she draws moisture up from hidden springs, raising sudden mists that smother flames before they devour entire harvests. She cannot save everything. For every village Hera shields, another lies in the path of ruin. For every field Demeter protects, another is left to drown or burn. They are not equal to the monstrous scale of the threat. They are counterpoint, not cure. But in those pockets where their hands pass, mortals look up and murmur thanks without knowing exactly to whom. In a world suddenly full of senseless catastrophe, a few small oases of survival appear. A granary left standing, a vine that somehow clings to its trellis while all around is wreckage. The storm is in control, yet the goddess's resistance plants a different memory in the hearts of the survivors, one in which the gods are not only terror, but also the narrow mercy that keeps a hearth from dying. The longer the battle drags on, and it has dragged on sun after sun, night after terrible night, the more the imbalance of origin makes itself felt. Zeus draws his power from the sky, from the ordered layers of air and cloud that he has shaped and ruled since the fall of the Titans. But the sky is no bottomless well. Each thunderbolt he hurls tears a piece out of it. Each clash burns away more cloud, leaving tatters and gaps. Typhon, by contrast, draws from earth and abyss. As mountains crack and seas heave, as winds shriek and earthfire surges, his strength grows rather than diminishes. Every tremor feeds him. Every act of destruction returns to him as affirmation. Zeus lashes out with another bolt, this one brighter and hotter than the last, focusing all his will. It strikes true, severing a mass of serpents from Typhon's lower body. They fall writhing, to smash against the ground far below, carving new valleys in their death throes. Typhon staggers, but then other coils, countless and half-hidden, surge forward from the mass below, so many that the loss seems meaningless. A cluster of his lesser heads swing toward Zeus, and in their combined gaze there is a kind of cruel amusement. He gathers himself and surges upward. A massive clawed hand closes around the edge of Zeus's cloud throne. Another seizes a bolt mid-flight, absorbing its force with a scream of metal-like scales. Before Zeus can react, a flurry of blows lands, fists like boulders, serpent necks striking like whips. The god-king reels. For the first time he feels not only resistance but real danger. His arm numbs under the impact of a strike that numbs even divine bone. One of his thunderbolts drops from his grasp, tumbling end over end into the ravaged land below. Lightning still answers his call, but it stutters now, striking awry, arcs jumping unpredictably, drawn toward Typhon's own storm wrath. For a few terrifying moments, smoke, ash, and Typhon's storm wrath blur their path before Zeus drags them back into obedience. Zeus grits his teeth, pulls back, and throws another bolt with both hands, forcing the monster away, buying space. But in that space, a seed of understanding roots itself. This enemy is not a mere test of strength. It is a challenge to the very foundation of his rule. And in the depths of his being, for the first time since he took the throne, Zeus feels the cold edge of a thought he has long imposed on others, that a king can fall. The battle does not end. Across the torn heights of the world, thunder still answers thunder, fire still climbs toward cloud, and the mountains below continue to break beneath the weight of powers too old and too vast for mortal eyes. Zeus still stands in the storm. His hands still call lightning. His voice still commands the sky. But something has changed. Each bolt he throws leaves the heavens thinner. Each wound he carves into Typhon closes beneath the pressure of earth and abyss. The monster does not merely endure destruction, he feeds on it. The cracked mountains strengthen him. The heaving seas answer him. The poisoned winds gather around him like children returning to their father. And Zeus feels it. Not fear as mortals know fear, not surrender, not despair, but the cold edge of a truth no throne wishes to touch. Power can be spent. A king can be forced backward. A sky that once seemed endless can begin to empty. Far below, Poseidon holds the sea from madness. Hera and Demeter save what little can still be saved. Hestia's flame trembles on Olympus. The world has not fallen. Not yet. But the first shadow has crossed the throne of Zeus. And somewhere within the storm, Typhon rises again. Subscribe for more epic journeys. Visit myth2myth.com and discover all our products.